Teaching grammar and vocabulary has always been a central aspect of foreign language teaching. Let's talk about the place of grammar. When we use the term grammar, we refer to sentence level rules. So what is grammar? Grammar is a system of rules of a language and the relationship of words in a sentence. Also, the components of words such as prefixes, suffixes, roots, verbs, and noun endings, etc., are part of grammar as well. Grammatical competence is considered as a major component of communicative competence, since it is necessary for allowing communication, but it is not enough for the production and reception in language. It means that if a person knows the structure of a language, so if this person knows how to construct sentences, but this person doesn't know how know the meaning of words and how to apply these meanings in context, and it's going to be useful to communicate because the three dimensions need to be interconnected to allow communication of a target language.
To teach or not to teach grammar? This is a question many linguists have made for years, and if they do it, another interrogant comes: how to teach grammar? For that reason, there are some grammar-focusing techniques. Some of them are embedded in communicative contexts. Do not overwhelm students with linguistic terminology because they can get confused. And last, contribute positively to communicative goals. Apart from these techniques, there are 6 variables that represent optimal conditions for learning and teaching a language, in this case grammar. The first variable is age. If you are teaching children, you should provide very simple data, whereas if adults are the learners, you can provide very advanced grammatical aspects.
Another factor that helps us to determine the role of grammar in language teaching is proficiency level. If too much grammar focus is forced on to beginning level learners, you run the risk of blocking the acquisition of fluency skills. It means if we just focus on grammar skill, the learner is just going to focus in that part and is not going to be able to use the other or to develop the other skills such as speaking, reading, and writing.
The third variable is educational background. This is very important at the moment of acquiring the structure of a language, because if the student has not had any kind of education, it is going to be very difficult to acquire the language, whereas a student who has been educated can even make self-correction to refine the language.
Language skills. In this variable, grammar work is more suitable for improving written English than for speaking and writing, and this is because of the permanence of writing and the demand for perfection in grammatical form in written English.
Informal contexts offer fewer grammatical accuracy than formal ones.
And the last one is needs and goals. In this part, the role of grammar is very important, since if a learner are headed toward professional goals, it is going to help them to stress formal accuracy more so than learners at the survival level.
Issues about how to teach grammar. There are 4 issues on teaching grammar. The first one is, should grammar be presented inductively or deductively? And here there are involved 2 approaches, inductive approach and deductive one. In the inductive approach, students are allowed to discover the structures and rules on their own, whereas in the deductive one, the structures and rules are provided by the teacher, the professor. Generally, inductive approach is more in favor because A. It is more in keeping with natural language acquisition. It means that students start acquiring the language unconsciously. B. It conforms to the concept of interlanguage development. This means that students can learn by stages, so they start acquiring some grammatical rules and then they improve them by the constant usage. C. It allows students to get communicative feel for some aspect of language because they start feeling the language as their own language, playing with structures they have found. And D. It builds more intrinsic motivation by allowing students to discover rules rather than being told them, because students can realize the progress with the language. The second issue is, should we use grammatical explanations and technical terminology in a communicative language teaching classroom? Before, it was very common to use grammar translation methodology to explain the structure of a language. Nowadays, it is also used, but it is given with care. Sometimes in the learner's native language or in its target one. Moreover, there are 6 rules to enhance grammatical explanations. They are A. Keep your explanation brief and simple. It means that you, as a teacher, must not be very redundant with your explanations. B. Use charts and other visual materials to depict grammatical relationships. You, as a teacher, can use flashcards to teach your students a very specific topic in grammar, for example, adjectives, family members, and so on. C. Illustrate with ambiguous examples, because this is the only way to teach students when it is appropriate to use or not to use a specific grammatical topic. Try to account for varying cognitive styles among your students. You must choose many different activities in order to catch the attention of your students, because not all of them have the same capacity to learn or the same learning style. E. Don't get students and yourself tied up in Knox-Cole exceptions to rules, because these exceptions could be a kind of obstacle to students in order to apply that grammatical rule. And by last, F. Don't explain something you are not sure about. Don't take the risk of giving false information. It is better to be honest and tell students you don't know that part, but you are going to investigate in order to clarify that doubt. The third issue is, should grammar be taught in a separate grammar-only classes? The experience of communicative language teaching classes indicate that grammar should be taught into general language courses, rather than choosing grammar as a separate skill class. However, certain curriculums set aside grammar instruction. There are some conditions that allow teaching grammar as an integrated and isolated subject. Some of them are: the grammar course is integrated into the total curriculum to relate grammatical structures to other work in English. It means that grammar is not taught as an isolated subject. It is integrated with the other different subjects in English, for example, writing, or reading, or listening, or speaking. B. The rest of the curriculum controls the content of grammar and not vice versa. It means that the curriculum itself, or even the students, can control or can choose the grammar topic they want to study. C. Grammar is contextualized in meaningful language use. It means that grammar is not separately from the culture of the language students are acquiring. And D. The course is adapted for particular individual problems students are experiencing. It means that grammar can be very helpful for those students who have problems with other skills. For example, if I have some problems in writing, Yes, I can use my grammar to help myself out in order to write a letter or to write an essay and so on. The fourth and last issue is, should teachers correct grammatical errors? In grammar, there are no special techniques to correct errors. The way to do it is in the same way teachers do it for listening, speaking, writing, and reading. The objective of this is to improve students' language acquisition.
Finally, there are some grammar techniques that are going to help us by the time of teaching. For example, the first one is using charts. This is a useful technique for clarifying some ideas in a better way. The second one is using objects. Using objects is an interesting tool because students can bring to the class a necklace, a purse, sunglasses that are going to make a dynamic class, and the students are going to be more involved in the activity. A third technique is using maps and other simple drawings. As we know, images is an interesting tool because students always get involved through these images and can describe better the activity. For example, if they are going to describe locations, we can draw on the board some picture, or we can bring some pictures, and the students are going to describe it in a better way. For example, if we draw a circle, a diamond, and a square, and the topic is describing locations, so the students can see that the circle is in the center, can describe this type of activity, or the diamond is directly above the circle, the square is to the right of the circle, so this kind of activity. The fourth activity, or the fourth technique, I think, is using dialogues. As we know, dialogues is a good technique for introducing and practicing grammatical points. Finally, the last technique is using written text. This is a mechanical level in which students get new vocabulary and put into practice grammar structures.